Welcome to Practicing Life podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Pitzer. Have you ever thought about energy? It's such a vast word. And I am somebody who is just I'm a seeker. I'm always seeking like enlightenment and to understand things. I love knowledge, right? And one of the things that I do is help people get to know themselves better. And I like to live a lifestyle that centers around peace, love, positive feelings, right? And so that's kind of what I want to talk today about is energy and emotions. Have you heard the saying like I'm emotionally drained? So we have this perception, this interpretation about our emotions affecting our energy. And so we have to go to the basis of what energy is. Well, energy is more complex than I can even understand, but there's a couple of definitions around them. One definition is it is the power derived from the utilization of physical and chemical resources. Another way of saying that is it provides light and heat. So it's providing resources. Another definition is it's the property of matter and radiation, which manifest as the capacity of work. When you look up what is the simple definition of energy, it is the capacity or power to do work. So, energy is a very interesting concept because, like, where does energy come from? Like, when you really dig into it, energy comes from resources. I would tell you my personal belief only is that energy is the source. It is the omnipresence. Everything has to have energy. Even non-animated objects have energy. And energy is really fascinating because it takes on many forms and it changes forms. Energy existed since the very beginning of time. Which is really interesting, right? Because if energy existed since the very beginning of time, it made me wonder, well, what happens when your body dies? Does energy still exist in your body? And I know we'll get to the subject, but you're going to go on a little journey with me before we get to the subject. But as a yoga instructor, one of the things that I learned, just random information that I learned in my class, is that when I don't know what these people are called anymore, but I'm like osthetician, I can't think of this word. But when a person is pronounced dead, they are examined by their feet, and the feet determine whether or not they're dead. This is something that I learned in yoga. You can go to your own research and verify this. But I always thought that was really interesting because in yoga, we paid a lot of attention to our feet. Can your toes spread? How are you balancing the weight on your feet? And in poses, is your big toe down? Is your weight onto the outside of the foot? Is your weight on your heel? So we paid a lot of attention to your feet in yoga. And so this statement always remained with me that people are pronounced dead by their feet. And so when I was reading about energy and just about the fact that it has existed since the beginning of time, and that there's this the law of conservation of energy, that energy is constant, it is in a constant flow, it is in a constant change in a form, it is all around us, right? I got that whole thing about, well, how does energy affect your body? And what happens when you die? Is there energy in your body when you die? Right. So little journey here. I read a case study. It was by Susan Peck, Gail Chorus, and Dear Fa Lu. And they're all, PhDs with lots of credentials behind them. And they have done a number of studies on people as they die and watching what happens to your body as you die with energy. And so let's back up. So energy there is, some scientific evidence that there's like two types of energy. One would we would say is like measurable and non-measurable. So this is what I mean by two types of energy. So the type of energy that is measurable in the sense that you can see it in invisible light, frequency of sound, laser beams, rays, electromagnetic fields, essentially. This energy they call is veritable. And then you have this other type of energy which isn't measurable. And this is called punitive. Putative. Kind of different there. Putative. And that is like your life force. This is the energy that is flowing in your meridial lines, the pathways of the energy in your body, your chakras. So whether or not you believe in this, this is the controversial type of energy, right? And so this study that was done by Susan Peck, Gail Corus, and Derfla Liu basically examined the measurable type of energy and what was happening to your body as you died. And so they were taking like hospice patients that they knew that they were dying. They were taking different types of medical field people. So there was people in Chinese medicine, people that worked with the chakra, so people that were in the putative energy as well as more of the science based. And so they took these different doctors, they did these studies on people as they were dying, and they were looking at the stages of dying and what was happening to your energy. And so without further ado, what they found, which is really interesting to me, is that your energy basically starts to dwindle from your feet. And eventually your energy is getting kind of sucked up in your body. So the energy is dying. Essentially, this is how I'm wording it. It is dying from your feet and going up to the root of your chakra. So let me read a little bit more formally of how they would put this in the case study. Their study showed that energy decreases in size and intensity from feet upwards. The chakra closes from the root to the crown the closer a person moves to death. The energy moves upward and out to the crown with death. So what they were also able to determine was for the people that were more in the putative side that worked with chakras and your meridian lines, they were able to see that for people who could see energy, that the aura disappeared with death with a person. And there might have been some undetectable energy still remaining as the body was kind of decomposing. Sorry to be graphic and vivid. I should probably put a warning on this. But anyway, when you look at it from a scientific standpoint, as someone dies, their body is losing pressure inside of it. It's losing heat. There's all of these things that are happening. But essentially, the point is as the energy is changing forms and exiting the body with death. And that's where I'm going to tie in emotions. So anyway, for all of those of you who are listening, you're like, what does energies have to do with death? Well, if you don't know me, I really, really want people to understand how emotions affect their body. And I'm not here to tell you to live in false happiness, because the truth is, you know, there's only like the fake it till you make it method. Not to say that it doesn't work, because it does, but during the time when your body is not convinced, the fake it part, you're living in those emotions, and those emotions have an effect. Now, from the science part of me, I'm going to tell you that, repetition, saying or doing something over and over and over, teaches your body, it teaches your mind, and it ultimately can create the outcome that you want, right? So you can get to the place that you want through constant repetition. This is why, as like a hypnotist, we will say something like, for people who are compulsive liars, they start to believe the lie. So fake it till you make it, you start to make it because you start to believe. But during that disbelief time, it has an impact on your body, right? And that's the only point I'm trying to make here. So, emotions. Let's get to emotions. Emotions are truly neutral. They are literally just a type of energy. So that's why when you take the root word, it means emotion. Emotion. Emotions together. And so it is just a type of energy that exists in your body. It is meant to flow through your body. But what happens with our brain, the science of how our brain works, is we have memories, right? And these memories are unconscious and they relate back to experiences that we've had in our past. And so the analytical brain is the conscious part of your brain. Memories are the unconscious part of the brain. So you have your subconscious and you have your conscious. Oh, don't you just love the brain? And these two are working hand in hand together. And your conscious part of the brain is your boss. It's the dictator. And your subconscious part of the brain, it is like the child. It is the 5-year-old who has to do what the parent says. But the 5-year-old has a lot of say in what's going on in the sense that your subconscious is where your memories are stored. And your memories are forgotten about to the parent, like the parent's like, well, I can't remember what I even did yesterday because I have all these things I'm focusing on, and this is where my energy is, right? So if you think about how it works in real life, this is what happens in your brain. So your subconscious has all of these memories and it's thinking about all of these memories while your conscious brain is having a thought. Thought versus thinking, they're different. We won't go into that today. Okay, so when your analytical brain has a thought and it starts thinking, your analytical brain does the thinking, it has all these unconscious memories coming up and it has these associations and these past experiences, and voila, your analytical brain is making decisions somewhat based on some of your past experiences and memories. So why am I bringing all this up? When you have an emotion that is neutral, your analytical brain is going to pull up these experiences without it realizing it's doing it. And it's going to come up with an interpretation. It's going to make it mean something. And so your analytical brain, with the interpretation, decides if this energy moving through your body, it labels it and it decides if it's good or bad. And then this label also contributes because that label is also going to pull up extra memories associated with that word based on your past. So an emotion comes into your body, which is just energy coming into your body. Your analytical brain, without really perceiving the past memories and the past history, is starting to think about it, define it, label it, categorize it, whatever you want to say. And then we have this emotional response. And this is where energy can either expand in your body or it can contract in and be small. Have you ever heard people say, like, take up space? Like, take up space. Like, you are worthy enough to state your ideas, your opinions, blah, 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 put yourself out there, right? So that's the kind of concept I want you to think about. Energy can expand or it can contract. So if you think about somebody like a child, think about a child, when they are afraid, they maybe curl up into a ball. Like if they've had a nightmare, they may curl up into a ball. They may grab covers and try to hide. They're becoming small. This is what your energy does. So based on how your analytical brain interprets and makes meaning out of the energy in your body, it is going to then correspond to an emotion. So you first have a thought. Really, your memories proceed, but you're not aware of that. You have a thought, and then that thought creates an emotion, which is an emotional response. So it creates energy around what you're feeling in your body. And then that creates its own frequency and vibration. I hope I haven't lost you here. So, I wanted to talk about Brene Brown here at this point because she wrote, I believe, in the Atlas of Heart. I'm recalling this remotely from my memory, so I may have it wrong. But, she, I believe, in this particular book, talked about how when they looked at the study of emotions in your body, that excitement had the same physiological effect as fear and anxiety. And so an emotion uh, is causing energy to move in your body. It is causing a physiological effect. You have thoughts about it. Your thoughts then create its own emotional resonance based on what you think about it. And that can either cause you to expand or contract in how you're feeling. Okay. And so the thing I want to get to, the bottom line in this is when we have emotions, they're not necessarily good or bad. We are meant to have all emotions. We have these emotions. We are meant to experience them. The difference is we're not meant to hold on to them. And so if you are holding on to something that is causing you to have that contracting energy, where you are feeling small or vulnerable or shame or fear, any of that kind of stuff, right? You're contracting, then you're actually causing dis-ease in your body, right? You are causing your body to experience discomfort and you're intentionally holding on to it, whether you want to suppress it and forget about it, to numb it out, whatever it may be. And so when you leave that energy in there, that energy, instead of being an emotion and being able to move through you, it is stagnant and stuck in your body. And that's energy that has a negative effect on your body because of the way you view it and interpretate it, right? Because if you had a positive energy that was stuck in your body, it would most likely having a positive effect on it because it would be something that you would have good feelings about. But the fact of the matter is we generally don't hold on to our positive things. That positiveness like almost overflows from us. It expands, right? So let's go back to that word expands. So you really don't hold in positive energy because it is bigger than your body. It goes out into your aura. It goes outward. It is shared, right? It is fluid. And so you can hold on to the positive memories of them. You can recall those emotions. But most of the time, when you have something really energetically positive happening to you, it is going beyond your body. Whereas if something negative, it's getting within your body and it's getting small and contracted and like a hard little ball. So anyway, kind of a little difference for you. So but if you look at the neutral side of energy coming into your body that you identify as an emotion, it can be like, well, as in Brene Brown's book, the example that I'm using, if it can be physiologically the same type of response to your body, how you interpret it then changes your emotional response to it. So if something comes into your body and you label it as fear, you know, it has the same type of energetic feel as excitement. And so you can train your brain to, when you identify that emotion, step back and like interpretate it differently and think about it differently. So I'm wrapping up this session here to drive you to thinking about who you're spending time with and how you are spending your energy. Because like in the beginning of this podcast, this episode, I talked about the statement, oh, I feel so I'm so drained emotionally. When you are drained emotionally, I mean, that I would say, in my personal opinion, that I would say that's very valid. Your emotions can drain you because you're contracting in. And You may not be able to process them and let them move through you. So it's important to me in the line I work dealing with people, right, that they are consciously making choices for them. And this is the point of this episode, because what you do is your own business, and how you process, how long you want to hold on to emotion, like how you want to react to your emotions, that's your karma, that's your deal. I can respect that. But if you don't have awareness around it, then you necessarily may not be able to change it. Awareness allows you to be able to change something. So creating awareness around you, I would stress to you the importance of who you're surrounding yourself with. So if you have relationships in your life that you feel like every time I hang out with this person, it is draining, there's work to be done there. Because it could be something about how you are interpreting the um, conversations, what all you're making it mean. It could be going back down to your personal history and how you've interpreted things that are bringing up unconscious memories, right? So there can be a lot going on there. But it also could just be like this is how this other person makes you feel. And it could be something that you need to address as, do you want to continue to be around this energy that has nothing to do with you? It's just their energy is being projected towards you. In other words, you may be a sensitive type of person to energy, and you may be able to pick up on the energy that they are feeling, even though it is not in your body. It is just your antennas of being able to sense energy is kind of touching onto their energy. And so all of this matters because in life, I mean, you're making choices all day long. You're making choices all day long. And I think it's vital to understand the impact of energy. And I want you to think about when you're hanging out with somebody that you feel emotionally drained around, and you've done your inner work and you kind of understand that it's not in your body, it's just something that you're picking up on from somebody else, like if you are an empath, that type of thing. That when you are hanging out with somebody who is in a constant state of that contracting type of energy and you're sensitive to it, that it is very much like as a metaphor story to relate it to. It is very much like being around a smoker. And a smoker can no longer smell the smoke that is permeating from them, like it is in their clothes. You can see the yellow in their fingertips, right? Like it's just the smoking is just a way of being for them. And they carry this essence of whatever it is that they're smoking. And so if you've ever been around somebody and you've hugged them, even though they are not smoking, you can smell the residence of smoke. And this is very much like how it is with people who are in a constant state of contracting low energy, right? You could go up and hug them, and you didn't smoke the cigarette, but you can smell the cigarette. So, and from an energy standpoint, you can hug that person, and it's not your energy that was creating contraction and making you feel drained. It is their energy. So, this is what I'm hoping that you are getting from this whole conversation. And their energy, because you may be sensitive to it, because you're picking up on it, is affecting you. Now, you get to decide at this point how you want to respond to that and how you want to react to that. And that's really up to you and what you want. And there's definitely things that you can do to kind of continue to have that relationship with that person if you choose to, and still safeguard yourself. That's like withdrawing your antennas, so to speak. But that also makes you less aware of everything around you. This is something that I once told my husband, because the only person that you have control over is you. And so you can't change the other person. You can't tell them to stop smoking, AKA you can't tell them to stop being an angry person or a constantly stressed person. You have no control over another person. And so the only thing that you can do is change yourself. So when I'm saying you can pull in your antennas and not be sensitive to it, it also means that you're not sensitive to the highs or to the lows. And so in a way, it is an numbing way to live. That is a personal choice. You can totally choose to do that. It's not for me to decide. But there are definitely other things that you can do. Like for me, for instance, I have like energetic sprays that I put on me so that even if I do sense somebody else's lower vibrations, their lower frequencies, I can be brought back through smell to what I want to feel. So I'm essentially like replacing their energy, right? So that's one of the things you can do. You can wear crystals. Crystals help transform the energy, they transmute it. So you can wear certain types of crystals. You can, like for instance, tourmaline, your black stone, if you're not familiar with it, and that is a type of stone that is known to help repel negative energy. So you can have it on a necklace, you can have it in your pocket, you can have it in your hands. So even though if you are sensitive to it and you may notice it, you can take that energy that you've noticed and mentally visualize it going towards the stone, and the stone can carry that energy through. So these are just some, helpful tips to kind of help you, but ultimately you have a lifestyle and a behavior that may be contributing and continuing to encourage these things. And I don't mean encourage as in like, yeah, cheerleader, bring it on. But I mean as in what you tolerate, it continues to go on for you. So what you permit, you promote. What you tolerate, you're ultimately saying that you are in agreement with. And I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong. I definitely have people in my life that, like you can't always choose who your biological DNA family is, but you can choose who your soul family is, right? So there may be people in my biological family that I'm like, you know what? I'm choosing to be around you in these certain situations, but outside of that, no, thank you, right? But I could choose to not spend any time with this person, or I could choose to spend a lot of time with the person and do other things. Everything is your free will and what you want to do and what best serves you. What I really want you to understand is how energy with emotions, the energy of how you're interpreting that, whether it's expanding or contracting, how is that working for you? How is it working to be around other people? What do you want from that relationship? What do you want to feel? And how do you best support yourself in these type of relationships? So, I mean, definitely think about it, because if you're someone who is sensitive to energy, even though it may not be your energy, you're now putting yourself responsible for clearing that energy out. Does that make sense? Are you following what I'm saying? So you can definitely continue to be around people that are contracted, but know that you are putting yourself responsible for clearing that energy in order to support and love yourself and to continue to expand your energy. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this conversation about energy and your emotions, and that, maybe you were as fascinated as I was about how your energy decreases and it removes all your chakras. I find that super interesting. Had no idea. Anyway, you matter, and I will see you next week.